Caracas turning bright orange, massive flames engulfing the air. Those giant plumes of smoke seen from miles away. President Trump confirming the strikes and announcing the United States has captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Trump writing online, the United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Venezuela's defense minister, speaking from an unknown place, calling it the most criminal military aggression from the U.S. in the history of our country. The massive escalation coming after a significant U.S. military buildup in the region. The Pentagon striking more than 30 boats the U.S. alleges were involved in drug trafficking operations, at least 115 people killed since those strikes began on September 2nd. In a memo obtained by ABC News in October, the administration telling Congress that America is in armed conflict and that drug cartels are deemed unlawful combatants. President Maduro facing drug charges, including narco-terrorism conspiracy since Trump.
Another Arab unk, black-bagged and arrested. You know what I mean? Typical America.
Trump's first administration, after federal prosecutors alleged he deliberately used cocaine as a weapon. Back in 2020, U.S. officials telling Americans they plan to eventually gain custody of the Venezuelan leader. In recent days,
yeah, you'll see so much insanity from the editorial side of things. Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, New York Times. Washington Post using the kidnapping of a foreign head of state as a veiled threat against democratically elected leaders in this country. Washington Post editorial, for years, Maduro was a symbol of the false warmth of Latin American collectivism. Now he should spend the rest of his life alone in a humane American prison. His downfall is good news. This is the deputy opinion editor of the Washington Post, okay, bringing up collectivism because Zoran Mamdani, democratically elected Democratic Socialist mayor of New York, Zoran Mamdani, said we must get the warm embrace of collectivism. We must bring about the warm embrace of collectivism. These people are just straight up fascists, brother. It's crazy. Straight up fascists. What do you say? What do you do? Have some hopium, King.
On January 2nd, 2020.
Okay, that's crazy, but let's continue. Do you think he's bringing Maduro to New York to distract Mamdani from doing work as well? No, I don't think so.
More signs pointing to this latest attack. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the most advanced lethal aircraft carrier in the world, spotted on New Year's Day, seen in these satellite images, positioned closer to Venezuela's coast than it had ever been amidst the recent bout of tensions just some 200 miles away. And the FAA banning U.S. commercial flights in Venezuelan airspace for, quote, ongoing military activity ahead of the attack. Trump had warned that land strikes were imminent.
We'll start that on land, too. It's going to be starting on land pretty soon.
Saying in a recent interview with Politico that he wants to see Maduro gone.
So how far would you go to take Maduro out of office?
I don't want to say that,
But you want to see him out?
his days are numbered.
Can you rule out an American ground invasion?
I don't want to rule in or out. I don't talk about it.
For his part, Maduro had said just one day ago that he was open to talks with the U.S., and in a separate pre-taped interview released Thursday, described a recent call the two had. Saying, I think that conversation was even pleasant, but the events following the conversation haven't been pleasant. Let's hope. And so that would be the last time Maduro was seen on camera on Venezuelan soil. Now, as for what the U.S. does next, a Republican Senator Mike Lee out of Utah sharing that he spoke with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He anticipates, according to Mike Lee, no further action in Venezuela now that Maduro is in U.S. custody and that he is expected to stand trial in the U.S. Just a stunning series.
A stunning series of developments here. And Matt, I think one of the big questions is, who is running the country now?
And we don't know. That's the simple answer to that question. We heard from Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, who came out and said she wasn't running the country officially, that she still believes Maduro is the rightful president. She's demanding the U.S. show them some kind of proof of life. There is a state of emergency that's been declared in the country, but the simple fact...
Wow, stunning. Stunning. Extraordinary. Incredible. Have you seen the celebrations across the world over Trump's actions in Venezuela? Oh, no, I have not. But, oh my God, I'm so happy that everyone is so happy about this. This is, again, more self-soothing behavior from a lot of people who just like can't. Like, it comes from a place of recognizing that the actions that the Trump administration took are kind of fucked up. So they have to be like, well, this has got to be for somebody, right? So you just like look for anyone that you can point to. You look for anyone that you can point to say like, oh, well, there's other people celebrating it around the world, right? Like it's got to be good, right? It's for somebody. You only say that if you can't argue on the virtues of this action on its own, right? Oh, people around the world are celebrating. Are they?
Fact is, these are very tense times in Venezuela right now, and for the people of Venezuela, we should be remembering them always. This is a very difficult time. They don't know, even if they weren't fans of Maduro, they don't know what's coming next.
And that is what we will be watching to see. Matt Rivers, our thanks to you.
Horror, a real degree of fear reflected.
James, I'm just going to interrupt you just to bring this image to our viewers, and you can hopefully see it as well. This has also just been posted on Truth Social on Donald Trump's timeline.
Me as a Venezuelan are very happy because today part of my pain and hate can heal. Maduro and Chavez separated mine and many families. All right, chatter. Excited for you. It's going to be awesome when it's going to be awesome when Exxon and Chevron will separate your natural resources from doing any good for you and the existing family that live in Venezuela still. No, I don't. You guys need to understand. Sent from Israel, all this stuff. No. This is not all like Langley talking, okay? These are people who hate Maduro, that have family members who hate Maduro, that live in Venezuela. There are a lot of people who despise Maduro. Okay, there are a lot of people who hated Chavez. There are a lot of people who despise Maduro. You won't really hear about them in the Western world because the people who actually, they're the people who love Chavez and to a much lesser degree thought Maduro was fine or good. Those people are oftentimes not the ones you're going to hear in Western media. They're not the people that actually moved to the United States of America and gained refugee status, right? This is how it always works. What I'm trying to communicate to those people that are coming in here to be like, no, this is actually good. Let me tell you why, is that Trump is not even trying to make this seem like it's for you. Like, Trump is quite literally saying, you are a rapist drug dealer that needs to be sent to CCOT. And you're over here being like, the guy who's saying me and my parents are rapist drug dealers that must immediately be sent to CCOT is actually a good guy who cares about me. Trump cares so little about you that he is, on the one hand, openly stating his actual desire, which is, I'm going to take all the oil, fuck you, while also simultaneously not even doing you the dignity of claiming that this is for you. Okay? I don't know why you're still imagining this alternative reality where you're like, no, this time is different than Libya, than Iraq, than numerous other places, right? This time it's going to be different. And also, the guy who's openly saying that people like myself are an ever-present danger to this country that, Trump invited me into if I'm a Venezuelan and I got TPS, now he's using me as a talking point, and he's saying that I'm going to be forcibly removed from the country, but it's actually good. It's actually good somehow. What gives you any indication that this is actually good or that Trump actually cares about your best interest? It doesn't make any sense.
And this is an image that he has simply captured Nicolas Maduro on board the...
Why are you in America if it's so bad? Because it's my home. I live here. And it has great promise. It has great potential. And I hope that one day we can at least change things around a little bit and do what's right by everyone, rather than whatever the fuck we're doing here.
USS Iwo Jima. And you can see there the Venezuelan president with glasses on, with head protections on, what looks to be some kind of safety jacket around him. It's not clear whether his hands are fastened together. I think
safety jacket is a Nike Tech.
I can see sort of cufflinks or something holding his hands together, a bottle of water in his hands. Quite incredible that one president is posting this image of another country's president.
Yeah, fascinating, isn't it? I wonder if that would be a bulletproof vest. Jane, bear in mind that many in Venezuela from the Maduro regime, they have been calling all morning for a proof of life photograph. So, I mean, we'd be expecting something like this to be published in due course. But in some ways, it will be a response to that. It looks proof of life.
You didn't blast off Mama Guebo? I did. I've been live for 2 hours now.
To me, certainly there is concealment around his eyes, but that will be him presumably on the American warship making his way in the company of his wife, although she's not seen here, towards New York and towards a New York courtroom. We're hearing that Monday might be the day for the arraignment on that one.
It's 9 a.m. on the East Coast, and if you're just joining us this morning, we have major breaking news. Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro has been captured by U.S. forces. President Trump confirming the large-scale U.S. military operation overnight.
Attorney General Pam Bondi confirming Maduro and his wife face drug and weapons charges in the U.S. And about 20 minutes ago, Vice President J.D. Vance revealing President Trump offered Maduro multiple off-ramps.
All this comes after explosions rocked the capital of Caracas and surrounding states early this morning. President Trump is expected to hold a news conference from Mar-a-Lago at 11 a.m. this morning. But first, he joins us now by phone.
Oh, my God. He called up. This is where he said he's going to invade Mexico next, by the way. So was this a leak? Did someone around him turn him in? There's no way this administration was able to pull this off on their own, right? Yeah, I don't know. We'll get more details. I have my suspicions. I'm keeping him close to the chest, okay? But yeah, there's reasonable suspicion around some kind of deal being made. And the reason why I say that is because, I mean, you got no anti-air defenses. Like, really? Really? You got like 30 attack helicopters flying over your capital? You got nothing. No man pads? Nothing. You don't got no homies on man pads. Like, let's say the S-300s are busted, okay? Let's say they blow them up. In Iraq, we're taking out helicopters with bolt-action rifles, man. What are you talking about? A helicopter is basically begging to explode to begin with. Helicopters already blow up when they're in distress on their own without any sort of, external factors. So that's the reason why I'm like, this is a strange situation. And by the way, I'm so consistent on this. A Black Hawk literally fell on the way to assassinating Osama bin Laden. Okay? Like that's how frequent these things blow up and kill Marines, Delta Force, all that shit, okay? You can take down a helicopter by sneezing on it, and they often do fall in campaigns such as this one. So the very fact that they were able to just, fly into Caracas with nothing, with no pushback whatsoever, to me it feels like maybe they got, I don't know, it feels like maybe they got a side deal or something. Who knows? Reuters reports that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was captured in an operation involving U.S. Special Forces, including Delta Force, with assistance from the CIA source inside Maduro's inner circle, and cooperation from members of the Venezuelan military, according to U.S. officials and people briefed on the matter. A source close to Venezuela's opposition described the move as an inside job. Yeah, that's definitely believable. Oh, so now you're a military expert? No, I'm not. I'm far from it. But I don't think you need to be a military expert to know that, helicopters blow up all the time. You really don't need to be a military expert to know that, actually. It's just something that they do, especially if you're thinking like Ospreys. Oh my God. The Marine Annihilator. New from the Post. Delta Force units established a pattern of life on Maduro in advance of the operation, mapping out his location and daily moves. According to a person familiar, a CIA covert operations unit identified where he and his wife were staying. The U.S. deployed 2 Army Delta Force units, one from the Middle East and one from North Africa in recent weeks, and those forces established a pattern of life on Maduro in advance of the operation, mapping out his location and daily movements, according to a person familiar with their deployment. Delta Force, known within the clandestine community as Combat Applications Group, is among the Pentagon's most elite units tasked with executing high-stakes and secretive missions, including hostage rescue and kill and capture missions. The Trump administration relied on elite Delta Force and CIA Covert Actions Unit for the operation to seize Nicolas Maduro in a highly secretive snatch and grab mission to force the Venezuelan leader from power, according to multiple people familiar with the deployments. The CIA identified the location where Maduro and his wife were, and Delta Force soldiers sent by President Donald Trump to the Caribbean and conducted the raid. The CIA also provided support to the air, sea, and land operations, according to people familiar with the mission. Those CIA units, among the U.S. government's most secretive, specialize in irregular warfare and other covert action and have regularly worked with both the Army's Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 over the 2 decades of battling Islamist militants groups in the Middle East, South Asia, and Africa. This doesn't actually give us any more detail into whether or not this is an inside job, but I do think that it's something smells weird about it, considering there is no pushback, whatsoever. Yeah, a CIA source in Maduro's inner circle helped U.S. forces track his movements in his final days, right up until his capture, according to people familiar with the matter. The people who were briefed on the operation also said members of the Venezuelan military cooperated with the United States to secure Maduro's arrest, but declined to provide details. One person close to Venezuela's opposition, who asked not to be named, described Maduro's removal as an inside job aided by the country's military. Republican U.S. Senator Mike Lee said U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio had told him Maduro would stand trial on criminal charges in the United States and that no further action was anticipated inside of Venezuela. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk, he would have loved to see the fall of Vuvuzela. True. The Washington Post is also reporting that the CIA had a human source inside the Venezuelan government who provided real-time intelligence on Nicolas Maduro's movements and location. That intelligence, according to people familiar with the matter, directly enabled the U.S. Special Operations raid that captured Maduro and his wife. What did Maduro supposed to do exactly? What do you mean? In this situation? I don't know. Not have CIA assets in his immediate circle that was directly giving coordinates to the Delta Force that was, 100 miles off the coastline? Like, I don't know. It's kind of... You just kind of have to not get got like that. You know what I mean? What was he supposed to do? Get nukes. Get nukes. Get nukes. That's what he's supposed to do. And that is the same for basically everybody. Okay? If you are a sovereign nation, or you think you're a sovereign nation right now, but devoid of nukes, let's be real. If you're in the periphery, you need to develop nukes. It's just, if you don't have the nukes, you're going to get got every single time. Okay? And the reason why I say this is not because I want to, support my own Hasan doctrine, a guide for nation building. Rule 1, get nukes. Rule 2, do not give up the nukes. Rule 3, if you're accused of having nukes, drop everything immediately and find some nukes. Here's the reason why I'm saying that, because this is a piece from the interview that we're about to watch when, Donald Trump was flexing on the morning show. This is what he had to say about Mexico.
Must stop. So was this operation a message that you're sending to Mexico, to Claudia Sheinbaum, the president there?
Well, it wasn't meant to be, and we're very friendly with her. She's a good woman, but the cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. The cartels are running Mexico. And we could be politically correct and be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of people, but the real number is 300,000 people. And
Claudia Sheinbaum, please develop nukes now. Madam President, please get nukes immediately. Please. You're cooked. Get nukes now.
We lost it to drugs, and they come in through the southern border, mostly the southern border. Plenty come in through Canada, too, by the way, in case you don't know. But they come in through the...
Lula, you need nukes. Brazil, if you want Lula Livre, you got to get the nukes, man.
Southern border, and something's going to have to be done with...
Canada, Cuba, everybody needs nukes.
Mexico.
Why did you...
Everybody get nuclear now. Everybody needs to get nuclear immediately. Immediately. Or else you're cooked.
And let's get right to the President of the United States, Donald Trump. President Trump, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning.
So you've had quite a busy evening. Tell us about it.
It was slightly busy, I would say. It was very dark all over, especially in Venezuela. The team did an incredible job. They rehearsed and practiced like nobody's ever seen. And I was told by real
Open
military
Presence, thank you
people
for the
that there's
25
no other
gifted
country
subs.
on earth that can do such a maneuver. If
Yes,
you
rewind is enabled for subscribers. That's true. And you can send links. You can send me links. You can rewind. And not only that, but you can also, I guess that's it. You can use emotes around the platform.
would have seen what happened. I mean, I watched it literally like I was watching a television show. And if you would have seen the speed, the violence, you know, they say that, the speed, the violence, they use that term. It's it was an amazing thing.
Legal Heretic, thank you for the 20 gifted.
Job that these people did. There's nobody else could have done anything like it.
You're at Mar-a-Lago right now. How were you able to watch this?
Well, we watched it from a room.
Seemingly on Twitter, actually. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's right. The Situation Room, photos came out of it, and they just had Twitter tabs open in the background. That's where we're at. Isn't that wonderful? They're just like us.
We had a room, and we watched it, and we watched every aspect of it. We were surrounded by lots of people, including generals, and they knew everything that was happening, and it was very
Yeah, White House is on OSINT Twitter. Zero OPSEC on OSINT Twitter. They're just sitting around. Breaking. High-level sources in Venezuela tell Breakthrough News that Trump's press conference was an act of psychological warfare and to not believe a word about the leadership collaborating to turn over the country to White House control. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Complex, extremely complex, the whole maneuver, the landings, the number of aircraft, which were a massive number, the number of helicopters, a different type of helicopters, different type of fighter jets. We had a fighter jet for every possible situation. And they just broke in, and they broke into places that were not really able to be broke into, you know, with steel doors that were put there for just this reason. And they got taken out in a matter of seconds. I've never seen anything like it. Actually.
And you were able to watch this in real time.
Yeah, and don't forget, I've done some pretty good ones in.
Yeah, bro. Look at this. It just says Venezuela. They have 3 Twitter tabs open, and one of them just has the search bar Venezuela. Okay? They were straight up looking at OSINT Twitter. Like, I was in bed doing the same thing that these assholes were doing. Well, to be fair, it's fast as fuck to find on the ground stuff. Like, they were looking at that classic Arma footage that they play always with like the tracers trying to take out one of the Warthog, and they were like, "Oh my god, I thought they didn't have any air defenses. What's going on?" Warthog, sorry. Shut up. ESL. The classic Arma footage that I'm talking about is always populated whenever something is happening, whenever breaking news is happening, and it's I'm sure you've seen it before, and they're looking at it and they're getting duped by it because that's what the CIA does. That's
in
what
other
the State
parts of
Department
the
does.
world.
The footage you fell for, I love that's my favorite meta, where people were like, Hasan, remember when you fell for that footage? Which is literally me looking at it for 3 seconds and then instantly going, is this Arma footage or is this is fake, right? But they clipped it so that they're like, still to this day, they'll be like, remember when you fell for that? Remember when you fell for that? It's like, no, my job is when someone sends me shit in the chat, I look at it and I try to make an assessment on whether or not it's real.
Okay, I've done some pretty good ones, but
yeah, I apologize for clicking on random linkers.
Never seen anything like this. I was able to watch it in real time, and I watched every aspect of it, and I listened to the communication between, where we were in Florida and out in the field in Venezuela, and it was amazing to see the professionalism, the quality of leadership, the professionalism. General Raisin Kane is fantastic. Don't forget, we did another one not so long ago. It was called the knocking out of the Iranian nuclear threat, the nuclear power. And that was unbelievable what they did there. And this is something that, gee, I don't know, it's amazing. And to have a few injuries, but no death on our side is really amazing.
Mr. President, critics will say that strong action can risk escalation, but history has shown us that weakness can truly invite chaos. And this military operation clearly sends a message to our adversaries around the world, China, Iran, Russia, that we are no longer the weak administration that we had for 4 years under former President Biden, who tolerated narco-terrorism.
Like, think about this being a good reason to arrest a foreign leader, like kidnap a foreign leader. Oh, we felt kind of insecure. Sorry, we felt kind of insecure for a little bit when Joe Brandon was in charge, and so we had to flex a little bit, you know?
What is next for the United States and Venezuela?
Well, we're very strong, and very importantly, if you look at drugs through the oceans, through the seas, they're down 97%. That's the boats. It's sort of related to this, as you know. The drugs are way down, and it's getting very, very tough. It's a whole different look. We have a whole different country. We have a country now that's respected. We have a country. I built the military in my first term, and they gave a little chunk of it away, but it was a lot. But it was a little chunk relative to what we built. But they gave it to Afghanistan so stupidly. It was one of the. Compare this to Afghanistan, where we were a laughing stock all over the world. We're not a laughing stock anymore. No, we have the greatest military in the world by far. We have the greatest equipment, military equipment in the world by far. And you had to see this in real time. You had to see this, the professionalism and the bravery, everything about it. And you almost couldn't hold them back. It was like they wanted to go so badly. And most people would have said, I'll take a pass. I know that Charlie would have wanted to go because Charlie's a very brave person. But I know a lot of other people would have said, I think I'll pass on this one. Let's watch it on television. So it's been amazing to see how good they were, how professional they were, how incredible the equipment we have is. I mean, the level of equipment and to see how it worked so perfectly. And, you know, if you compare this to attacks on Iran over the years with, you know, helicopters crashing into each other, the whole thing was a mess. The Jimmy Carter situation, which was a mess, and every other situation compared to this, nobody's ever seen like this. Look, the Iranian attack, knocking out their nuclear power was big. We had peace in the Middle East.
Your haters are so
and without that,
I mean,
you could never have peace in the Middle East. We knocked them out, and look what's happening now to Iran, but we knocked it out. That was, it could not have been better, and this could not have been better. I don't even know which is, these are both really important. If you think about equal and importance, I wonder how it's going to be rated, but knocking out the nuclear power of, think of it, they were ready, they were within 2 months, they would have been a nuclear power. And comparing that to this in a certain different way, I think this might have been actually more complex.
Well, it's interesting.
But that was something that was amazing.
It's interesting, Mr. President. We've looked, our own Lucas Tomlinson, our reporter here. I don't know if you knew this intentionally, but the capture of Maduro and his wife coincides with the 6th anniversary of your taking out the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's Qasem Soleimani. Interestingly, it's six years after. But let me ask you a question, Mr. President. Because,
by the way, that was the third thing, and we have a fourth. We got Soleimani. We have taken out so many. Look at what we did to the leader of ISIS, who's no longer with us, right? And everybody was after for 20 years, and we got him. We've done a lot, but this was something, maybe because it's fresh in our minds, because again, the Iranian situation was so big, knocking that out, and the B-2 bomber, every single missile hit its target, and the target was an air shaft.
Right.
Dark at night. Think of that. Dark at night, no moon. You couldn't see a thing. And every missile went right through that air shaft and just obliterated the place.
He killed Soleimani on January 3rd, 2020. Didn't the American government also apprehend Noriega on January 3rd as well? What the f up with January 3rd? Hold on. Are you making that up? Soleimani assassination date. Nope, it is January 3rd. Noriega arrest date. Oh my God. Oh my God. What the bro? What do the numbers mean? What do the numbers mean? That's 3 for 3. Manuel Noriega was arrested by U.S. forces on January 3rd, 1990. Soleimani was assassinated on January 3rd, 2020. Mason, what do the numbers mean?
So that was amazing, and this was amazing.
I wonder, Mr. President, though, I want to ask you because from your Vice President, J.D. Vance, said that the message is pretty clear. The drug trafficking must stop. So was this operation a message that you're sending to Mexico, to Claudia Sheinbaum, the president there?
Well, it wasn't meant to be, and we're very friendly with her. She's a good woman, but the cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. The cartels are running Mexico. And we could be politically correct.
It's the lowest risk day in all oil markets. All the balancing from end of the year is done. Okay, that actually kind of makes sense. I don't know if you made that up or not, but that does kind of, I don't know. I can't tell if you just like made that up on the spot, but since we're already being dumb, since we're already playing along with the Illuminati symbolism of January 3rd, I'm just going to go ahead and say, yeah, that's the reason, and not like some Masonic
And be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of people, but the real number is 300,000 people. And we lost it to drugs, and they come in through the southern border, mostly the southern border. Plenty come in through Canada, too, by the way, in case you don't know.
Yeah. Hey, Canada. Hey, I'm looking right at you. Okay. Claudia, Mexico, looking right at you. Cuba, obviously cooked. Just wait. Just wait, dude. Hey, Canada, looking good, looking like you want to be annexed, I think. Looking tasty, like a tasty piece of meat that I will take. Why are you over there looking ready to be plundered, Canada?
But they come in through the southern border, and something's going to have to be done with Mexico.
Why did you decide to do this morning?
Are you talking about calling you people or the shot?
No, taking out
I'm not sure which is worse. If you want to know the truth, I'm calling you. I haven't spoken to anybody else because Charlie Hurd has been a great friend of mine for a long time. He was with me when it was not fashionable, and those are the people I like. He was with me, Charlie, when it was not at all fashionable. So. That's the reason I'm doing this, and your show is great. You're doing a great job. What a good team.
But I meant, why did you make the decision?
I need you guys to understand something. This person that's currently talking is the quote-unquote the leader of the free world, which is obviously the American president, the person who has control over our nuclear arsenal, the person that just signed off on the illegal arrest and kidnapping of a foreign nation's head of state. And now he's talking about how Charlie Hurd was on my side from the start. That's why I'm making this phone call. That's why. Awesome. They're calling your doctrine Global Iron Dome. Every country on this planet that doesn't currently have nuclear weapons and would like to continue to be a country should probably get on that ASAP. Yep. Hasan Abi doctrine, baby.
To take out Maduro this morning. And what was Maduro?
Like they're yucking it up. They're having this like funny conversation, this funny back and forth, right? Only moments after Donald Trump said that Mexico could get the smoke. Mexico also has cartels. They can also get the smoke.
Doing when our guys came in on him.
So we were going to do this 4 days ago, but the weather was not perfect. The weather has to be perfect. And we had just the perfect weather. We had, very good. A little bit few more clouds than we thought, but it was good. We waited 4 days. We were going to do this 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago. And then all of a sudden it opened up and we said go. And I'll tell you, it was just amazing. And what was he doing? He was in a very highly guarded, like a fortress, actually. He was in a fortress. That we had nobody killed was amazing. I think we had nobody killed, I have to say, because a couple of guys were hit, but they came back and they're supposed to be in pretty good shape. But that we had nobody killed, that we lost no aircraft. Everything came back. We got it all back. One of them was hit pretty hard, but a helicopter, but we got it back. But it just was the right time to do it. We had to do it because it's a war. We're losing 300,000 people a year. We don't lose that much in a war, okay, if you look. And we had to do it. But he was in a house that was more like a fortress than a house. It had steel doors. It had what they call a safety space where it's, solid steel all around. He didn't get that space closed. He was trying to get into it, but he got bum rushed so fast that he didn't get into that. We were prepared. We had, massive blowtorches and everything else that you need to get through that steel, but we didn't need it. He didn't make it to that area of the house.
Mr. President, your war on narco-terrorism from our southern border and beyond clearly will save American lives. Moving forward for Venezuela, what do you think is next for the Venezuelan people now that you have removed Maduro so that he can face American justice?
Well, we're making that decision now. We can't take a chance on letting somebody else run and just take over where he left or left off. So we're making that decision now. We'll be involved in it very much. And we want to do liberty for the people. We want to, have a great relationship.
Hey, are we starting a war? So that's a good question, right? And that's a question on everybody's minds. And when I went to bed last night, I thought that was what was going on. And then I woke up and I found out that Maduro had been arrested or kidnapped, really. Let's call a spade a spade. And it led me to believe that maybe this is not a full-scale war. I don't know. We shall see. I think it's entirely dependent on how the Venezuelan population reacts. It's entirely dependent on what the deal that they put together looks like. So if there is, like, Trump saying we're at war is one thing, but he could simply be posturing and yucking it up on his favorite TV show, Charlie Hurd, right? Charlie Hurd is my good friend. I'm just going to give him some quotes. It's like, judging by what he said about Machado, I don't know. But in the photo shared by the Interior Ministry, people take to the streets to reject what authorities described as imperialist military aggression and to reaffirm that the president of Venezuela is Nicolas Maduro Moros. Damn, they got live views up in this. Look, they be using the same backpacks I'm using to do the live broadcast. Anyway, VP is not complying. VP is not complying with the United States. Venezuelan VP Delcy Rodriguez says there's only one president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. I mean, we'll see.
I think the people of Venezuela are very, very happy because they love the United States. They were run by essentially a dictatorship or worse. It couldn't have been worse. It was a terrible thing that was taking place in Venezuela. But look, tremendous numbers of people were being killed through drugs. And what they did to our country in sending prisoners and people from mental institutions and drug lords and everything, they sent them by the hundreds of thousands of people into our country. And that is just...
Talking tough. Y'all would surrender instantly in the same position. Brother, I'm a Twitch streamer. I'm not the head of a state with command over, a 30 million population and a military. What good is any sort of anti-aircraft defense systems you have if you're not going to use them on a bunch of helicopters that are flying over your goddamn nation's capital? Like, this isn't about like standing up to a playground bully. We're talking about nation states.
Unforgivable. That's why, he wanted to negotiate at the end, and I didn't want to negotiate. I said, nope, we got to do it. He was trying to negotiate at the end. You probably saw that. And trying hard to make a deal. And I said, this could have been a very
Macron, the Venezuelan people are today rid of Nicolas Maduro's dictatorship. People can only rejoice by seizing power and trampling on fundamental freedoms. Oh God, I hate the indignity. God, European leaders are so disgusting. Oh my God, they're even worse than the Democrats, dude. How can you be worse than the Democrats, brother? Oh my God. Like, this is worse than Hakeem Jeffries. They're just outright meat riding. Oh my Lord, dude. The upcoming transition must be peaceful, democratic, and respectful of the will of the Venezuelan people. We wish that President Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, elected in 2024, can swiftly ensure this transition. I'm currently exchanging with our partners in the region. France is fully mobilized and vigilant, including to ensure the safety of its nationals during these uncertain times. God damn, bro, this is like you might as well put Trump's nutsack on your forehead, every time you open your mouth. Oh my God. Oh my God, this is so pathetic. Oh my God. Oh, gross. This was a empire, dude. This had colonies. I mean, they still kind of have colonies. Not as much, but wow. Wow, dude, European statehood is a lie. Like every nation state in Europe is just so utterly servile, so openly falling over one another to demonstrate fealty. Wow, Keir Starmer is somehow worse. Oh no.
Have you spoken to Donald Trump about what's happening in Venezuela?
No, I haven't, and it's obviously a fast-moving situation, and we need to establish all the facts. What I can say is that the UK was not involved in any way in this operation, and as you'd expect, we're focusing on British nationals in Venezuela and working very closely with our embassy. And so I will want to talk to the president, I will want to talk to allies, but at the moment, I think we need to establish the facts. I think President Trump is doing a press conference later, so hopefully more information will come out then.
What is clear, though, which the White House has said, is that America carried out strikes on Venezuela and captured their leader, Maduro. Some politicians in this country have already condemned that. Do you?
Well, I want to establish the facts first. I want to speak to President Trump. I want to speak to allies. As I say, I can be absolutely clear that we were not involved in that. And as you know...
I'd like Daddy to tell me what to say first. Oh, I dare not speak out of turn. Daddy will fill me in with his delicious... I'm not going to say it, but you know what I mean. Daddy will fill me in with all the facts. And then I'll know what to say.
I always say and believe we should all uphold international law. But I think...
But international law, of course, means nothing when American superiority is called into question. Of course, who's going to stop them? You, not me.
At this stage, fast-moving situation, let's establish the facts and take it from there.
And just lastly, for people who might have family there or the small number of Brits in Venezuela.
He said international law must always be called into question. First of all, not on Israel. Secondly, not whenever America does anything, which is, again, basically saying not on Israel. But there's something funnier. There's nothing funnier than just like having this response in perhaps one of the clearest violations of international law. So clear a violation that it actually directly puts him at harm's way, right? Because, like, think about it like this. Russia decides on Ukraine, there's too much British support taking place, okay? The previous established norms in global warfare is that if you're the head of a state, you're kind of protected, right? There is no, like, they're not going to come after you. They're not going to kill you. They're not going to kidnap you. Now America has violated that. Okay, Russia is a regional power. The UK is supposed to be a regional power. The UK is supporting Ukraine. Russia decides Keir Starmer, it needs to be prosecuted and arrested for the illegal seizure of Russian assets. What do? Like, do we just sit around and we go, well, hold on, that's Russia. They've decided that Keir Starmer was in violation of Russian laws. we decided, or Russia decided, that Keir Starmer is actually directly violating Russian laws, they have every right to kidnap Keir Starmer. They have every right to put him through this, mock trial, this sham trial, and then maybe potentially kill him. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Russia has no power over the UK like the US has over what? Venus? You mean Venezuela? My point is these guys rely on the same shit never happening to them. That's why America gets to do whatever it wants. Might is right only works when there is no other big dog. Okay? Might is right all of a sudden is not going to be such a wonderful scenario if there is another mighty country out there.
There are some there. It might be a small number, but of course people will be very concerned. What would their advice be?
Yeah, there's about 500 there in Venezuela.
Yeah, also, Russia doesn't have to, kidnap Keir Starmer. They got Novichok. They have sleeper cells. It's, they assassinate people in Europe all the time. Don't drink the tea. Don't stand so close to the window, Keir Starmer type shit. You know what I mean? Would that be appropriate? Would we go, we have to look at international law and follow international law in that situation? No, you would understand exactly what the that is.
And we're working with the embassy to make sure that they are well looked after, safeguarded, and get appropriate advice. So we're working at pace with the embassy on that. It is a small number, but it's an important number. It is about 500, so that's what we're doing there.
Mer's running the same line. It's not surprising. Nicolas Maduro has led his country into ruin. The most recent election was rigged. Like many other countries, we have therefore not recognized his presidency. Maduro has played a problematic role in the region. The legal assessment of the U.S. intervention is complex and requires... Dude, I swear to God, Eurolibs are... it's like shocking to see Eurolibs champion this stuff harder than the American Democratic Party is. I never thought that I would see the day. He ain't a lib, Lamau. Everyone is a lib. Everyone is a liberal. Republicans are liberal. Everyone's a liberal. They just handed Taiwan to China on a silver platter. There's no argument against an invasion anymore. Come on, guys. Do you think hypocrisy matters here? Come on. I mean, we said this after Israel too. That shit doesn't matter. Oh, really? You think European leaders that are saying this about Maduro in defense of Donald Trump are not going to turn around? Look at Ukraine versus Israel. Look at Ukraine versus Israel. They chirped and chirped and chirped endlessly about what Russia was doing in Ukraine. Okay. And then when Israel started doing worse in Gaza, they shut the up real quick. As a matter of fact, they justified it. They prosecuted naysayers. Okay. So if you think that these guys are going to be like, well, I guess we can't really say anything about China doing any sort of military action, which, by the way, again, is still a hypothetical at this moment, right? But if you think they're not going to, make a big fuss about that, and every single liberal, both in Europe and in America, is going to turn around and make it seem as though that is a totally righteous position, as though we haven't heard them defend Israel, as though we haven't heard them defend Trump's actions in this regard. If you think that they're not going to act as though they hadn't said all those other previous things, you're silly. You're silly.